So I don't know about you people of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but that was quite a quick She-Hulk episode. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know this is more of a sitcom-esque show, but I feel like, you know, considering how long my videos are, this could very well be longer than the episode itself, which is something that is weird to say. But welcome back to another breakdown of She-Hulk. Today we're breaking down episode 2, slowly building up to even more cool things, and there's even some really cool Easter eggs in this episode and some advancements of some storylines, which I didn't actually quite expect this soon. So if you're enjoying these videos, guys, I would always appreciate a like. That is the best way to support this channel, and maybe consider subscribing because I'm sure you'll like the variety of content we have here on the channel. So right at the beginning of this episode, we have a news report and some sketches which you may recognize from the credits of She-Hulk, of the super influencer Titania cause panic while fleeing traffic court. And I was thinking, like, when those, you know, court officers were approaching her at the end, you know, they really got to put cuffs on her, so I guess she fled after that moment, or if she had cuffs, she would have just gone and broken them because she's super strong enough to break through a court wall, after all. And her lawyer said that it's supposedly this kind of misunderstanding and a result of an extreme case of low blood sugar, which I think is a bit of a piss take on just actually some real world, you know, excuses for certain behavior that happens in the public. But of course, even though unwillingly, Jennifer Walters and her She-Hulk, if you will, is launched into the public as the superhero. And yeah, this is how she gets her name. The guy was just like, Chick Hulk. But obviously she gets the public name of She-Hulk, which she really doesn't like. This then goes into a bar scene where all the lawyers are hanging out, and we have that guy called Dennis who just thinks that she got her powers through nepotism. We get a bit of a prod at Tony Stark, if you will, when Nikki is saying that she could be an Avenger in theory, and she just says being a vigilante is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans, which, you know, to be honest, there is quite a lot of adult orphan vigilantes out there in all universes. Now, this is when the story progresses into the next chapter, you could say, because her boss wants her to go into the normal Gen mode, and that's when she collapses on the floor, which I believe is a bit of an homage to the comics, because when she goes into a Gen form, her metabolism goes back to normal, I guess, which I was thinking, does that make sense? But maybe it does, because I guess her metabolism and the way alcohol affects her is, you know, a lot better when she is just in She-Hulk form. But then again, it kind of made me think in episode 1, when she was still having the hangover, she could have gone into She-Hulk mode to, I guess, get rid of the effects of the hangover. But unfortunately, this is when Jen gets fired, because at the end of the day, her boss is kind of seeing her in this She-Hulk mode as a liability for the DA's office. Even though she did the right thing, saved the lives of the jury can be seen as biased in her favor. And this is where we see her apply to different jobs, like progressively each scene as it gets cut, and as each place rejects her, they just get kind of crappier and crappier, the places that she's applying to, which kind of just goes to show how much it really does mean to her being a lawyer, which is self-explanatory, but fair enough, she's gonna, and we can tell that she's probably gonna enjoy being a Hulk at some point, but she doesn't want to give up her legal practice. And this is when some Easter eggs come into play in the episode, when Nikki and her are hanging out in her apartment, this is on the couch, and when she's on her laptop, we can see a couple of articles on the side. There's even like a little Easter egg for like Iron Man 3 shoes, but the most interesting one was the one beneath that, and it says that man fights with metal claws in bar brawl, which obviously is a huge nod towards Logan, as in Wolverine, somewhere out there, got into a bar brawl and got his metal claws out, which, you know, I'm hoping is adamantium, but knowing the MCU, it'll be like freaking vibranium plated claws or something like that. Now, the reason why this was really cool is because, yes, I know we're getting X-Men eventually, but to set that seed up, and I may be reading too into it, it's just really cool, but you can start to theorize about a few things in terms of, okay, so at what point in his life is Logan at right now? Does this mean if he's in a bar brawl and he's, you know, getting his claws out there, that he's not a part of the X-Men, even though I wouldn't put it past Logan, even when he's a part of the X-Men, to still get in a bar brawl. But another thing, are the X-Men, because there's lots of theories out there, like, have they actually been out there this whole time, but we've just technically never seen them, even though if you want to go down that route, why didn't the X-Men ever get involved in all the prior events? So it kind of then sends you down the road of, okay, maybe obviously in the MCU, when the mutants start fully coming in, the X-Men are set up, and we get films about that, but then they'll go and recruit Wolverine, Logan, etc., kind of in a super traditionalist way. But what we're seeing right here with this Easter egg is just him simply, not in the X-Men, before that, getting in a bar brawl, getting his claws out. I would love to know your thoughts on that, because it's just a nice thing to know with what's coming in the future. Also, let me know your top fan cast for who you would like to play Logan. Mine, honestly, ever since somebody said Carl Urban from The Boys, Billy Butcher, I would, yes, it has to be Carl Urban. I don't want to see anyone. I mean, I'm not really going to be annoyed if it's someone else, but I can't unsee it now. And then there's a little Easter egg to the Eternals with another article saying, why is there a giant statue of a man sticking out the ocean? Which I believe is technically the first time this has been acknowledged indirectly in any kind of live action property since the Eternals, because at the end of the day, there was some big things that happened at the end of that movie. Obviously, the giant statue of a man sticking out, then the massive thing in the sky, even though a lot of people did witness that ending. It's just, yeah, nice to see it referenced. And then, of course, the background on Jen's phone is that of Captain America's ass. At this point in the episode, we go to Jen's home. This was like a little bit of like an awkward family, meal situation. We have various members of the family asking about her being a superhero. Mom just automatically giving her number out to a guy who wants to be one. We have a dad talking about Hawkeye, like what does he do with his arrows after he's fired them? Does he collect them or do something else? But at the same time, her dad is the realest one there, because he takes her to another room and asks her how she's doing. And one thing I do want to say, because I haven't touched on humor yet in this breakdown, is that even though, I'm going to get into my review overall, like, consensus at the end of this video, I do want to put it out there. I may be biased because it's Tatiana Maslany, but I do really still enjoy what they're going for here. I don't think everything's exceptional in terms of both episodes so far, to give a bit of a preview of the end of the video, but I'm still enjoying it. It's not cringe humor. It's just like, I think it is what it is. It's meant to be a comedic series. Not every joke lands, obviously, but I think the steal that they have in this show is Tatiana Maslany's Jennifer Walters. Obviously, they casted the star right. They had to do that, but it is the biggest thing they have, and that is the most success I will attribute to this show out of both episodes so far. Also, may as well chuck the post-credit scene discussion in here. Not much to say other than doing a little poke at the comics as well, with She-Hulk obviously helping her parents bring in like gallons of water, lift the car up while, what's his name? Jed changed the wheel. But this is when Holliway approaches her at the bar, and, the superhuman attorney at law, so to speak, part of this story unfolds because he offers her a job, because she laid out such a winning case against him, but he had it, declared a mistrial at the end. But he wants her to be a head of a new division, and she immediately accepts with the condition of hiring her own paralegal. And this is the example of the humor, by the way. I know humor is, a lot about in comedy timing, delivery, the way it is executed, but I feel like some of these jokes could maybe be in other Marvel movies and shows, and it might not be received as well. But I think, just going back to what I was saying a second ago, and I know I'm somewhat repeating myself here, but I want to emphasize how good Tatiana Maslany is, because I do feel like if this scene was given to someone else who may not have been as talented as her and have her kind of energy and charismatic performance, I really don't feel like these scenes, when she's like, I accept, just something as basic as that, I find myself charmed by her. And so she arrives at a new job, GLK&H, and Holliway says that she wants her and expects her to be in She-Hulk form the entire time, which I don't know how this works, but at the end of last episode, when she went into She-Hulk mode, her suit ripped, but now it didn't when she went into She-Hulk mode from Jen. So I don't know, like, is she meant to have like a spandex kind of, suit now, lawyer suit? But I don't think it is, so I don't know if that's just something we're meant to forget, or maybe I'm being stupid. I don't know. But as we know, she's now the head of her own Superhuman Law Division, and this is where she starts talking to us. She breaks the fourth wall again, something that is very true to the character in the comics, and as what we got very briefly teased, well, not briefly, we got teased at the beginning of the episode, but also that moment where she said about Bruce not meaning what he said with regards to, oh, you can go back to your life, and then he almost heard her. Now, this was the thing that, again, it's being a bit nitpicky, I'll admit that, but she was talking to us the whole time, turning around, and I enjoy all of this, by the way, I really do. I like the fourth wall breaking, but he didn't seem to notice, yet she was very expressive, articulated, talking about how she's more than qualified, but without me repeating all the lines, I just find it a bit strange how she said what she did last episode in front of Bruce, and he noticed when breaking the fourth wall. Like, he didn't, like, know exactly what was going on, because like, huh? But now when she speaks, nobody seems to notice. So I just found that a bit like, what was the consistency of that? But again, nitpicky. But just wanted to mention it regardless. And so she's shown to her new office. Nikki's there, and they're very happy about the office space. But this is when Pug arrives, and I'm sure many people on this channel recognize Josh Sakaaran because he was Adrian Chase / Prometheus in Arrow, looked at as one of the best villains in Arrow, and I thoroughly enjoyed that season. You know, other than certain points, he was the best part of it easily. So it was great seeing him. He's definitely going to have more of a prominent role as things unfold. And I did find, again, that the humor was pretty basic here. It's just like, and I mapped out, you know, the best bathroom so you can go poop, and they were like, oh, thanks. But again, without going, I mean, I know I keep going over it, but it's because of, I feel, Tatiana Maslany. This is when Jennifer gets faced with something kind of awkward from her boss, and that is because her first case is the parole of Emil Blonsky, and that is none other than Abomination. He's essentially, since the end of Edward Norton's Hulk movie, serving his sentence in an ultra high security prison. She immediately says, I have a conflict of interest here, but he's just like, yeah, but he signed a conflict waiver, and if she wants to keep her job, she basically has to go through with this, even though he tried to kill her cousin. And so we go to the Department of Damage Control, where Abomination is being kept. Again, she goes back down to Gen mode because they don't want anyone in superhero mode in that facility. And I found Tim Roth quite amusing because he's now a kind of reformed, if you will, Abomination. And he decides to get the elephant out the room with regards to trying to kill her cousin, Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and address what really was going on from his perspective here. He says he was under direct orders from the US government, which, you know, is true. But that's when he says, yeah, because they pumped me full of super soldier serum. And she's just like, so the serum the government gave you caused your subsequent actions. And that's true, they did give him super soldier serum to fight the Hulk, and then he had like another dose that made him even stronger, a little bit deformed, but then there was like irradiated gamma blood or whatever that he had, which then ultimately contributed to the Abomination, which is very true to the name. Like, imagine super soldier serum, then even more super soldier serum, and then you're something else with the blood. It's just like your amalgamation of well, you're an abomination that was made. So as a result, granted that he did get a bit of a warped perspective and mentality, he did kind of initially think, as he said, he thought he was going to be a bloody Captain America or something, and wanted to go that route. So there is somewhat of a good chance here that even though if he, you know, does feel remorse, of which he apparently does, there is a good chance that the parole board under Jennifer Walters could argue a case here that he could get out, given the prior abuse that he went through wasn't technically, even though it is a result of his actions, it's still, as we know, the super soldier serum somewhat warps your mind a little bit, let alone the other treatments that he had. And so this is when we get a call with her cousin Bruce, and he was in a location that is very, very interesting, but she was initially just talking and talking and talking, obviously kind of worried about what he was going to say. Ended up, you know, with him being really, really cool with it, saying that she should actually take the job, take the case, and Blonsky actually wrote him a really nice letter a while back that was really heartfelt, a heartfelt haiku as well, because he was going on about those. So they put everything behind them. And I like the little kind of, you could argue this is an Easter egg with regards to that fight was so many years ago. I'm a completely different person now, because the Easter egg being he funnily enough is a literal completely different person, because the previous Hulk or Bruce Banner was played by Edward Norton. And again, no shade against Mark Ruffalo here. I do miss Edward Norton in the role. And so Jen asks Bruce if he's going to be coming to LA anytime soon. This is what I meant earlier when I said there were some teasers that I didn't expect to be picked up so soon. I thought this might have actually been something at the end of the episodes that they would tease for the future of Hulk's arc in the MCU, if you will. And that's because he was on the Sakaaran freaking spaceship, and he says, probably not for a minute, I got some things to take care of. You know, the ship just jumps to hyperspeed or whatever to Sakaar, and the phone disconnects. Now, this is most likely going to set up a Hulk movie, or maybe even a Hulk series. Who knows what they're going to do here. Likely adapting World War Hulk, and I can really imagine, especially with the way the MCU like to probably go into things that they're gonna probably do the parental relationship maybe between when Hulk returns back to Sakaar. He will learn some of the things maybe that he was up to during his time when he was like a gladiator, when we met him in Ragnarok. He was there for, I believe, like a couple of years. So whatever the Sakaarans wanted him for to go back to Sakaar here, he has got some things to take care of. So whatever journey we're going to see him in next, I can imagine like a Father Hulk situation in where he learns that he has a son and they go down that route among various other things. I definitely don't think they're going to rip everything comic book page to screen, but kind of core elements, you know, typical MCU stuff. For example, you know, how we got Gore the God Butcher in Love and Thunder, but, you know, there's still differences made there. So I'd love to know what you thought of that. It did happen quite a bit earlier than I was expecting. Either way, though, Jen calls up her boss, Holliway, says that she accepts the offer. He says that you might want to turn on the TV, and, you know, I failed to mention this, that Holliway should be quite an interesting character moving forwards. But either way, on the news, we can actually see that Abomination is fighting in a freaking cage match after escaping prison, and it's just like, what the hell's going on there? And you may recognize that from Shang-Chi. We know we're getting Wong in this series, and you should know what I mean if you've seen Shang-Chi and what happens with Wong. With the very footage that was shown in this moment on that news report, we know that Abomination will return from that underground fight club to his cell, because in like the first main trailer or whatever it was, we see that he like transforms in the cell and like bumps his head on the ceiling. So it's definitely going to be interesting going there. And now that we're into the actual Superhuman division or head of Superhuman Law that Jen has got here, you know, I'm looking forward to the interaction. I actually really am, with Matt Murdock, Daredevil, because I don't think he's going to reveal his identity as Matt Murdock. I mean, who knows what's going to happen here? But obviously, he's got some abilities, and he is a lawyer. And I think why I'm looking forward to this is, despite some people being turned off the idea of, wait, Daredevil in a sitcom-y kind of comedic series? What? How could you, kind of thing? But because I love Tatiana Maslany and I'm enjoying her role in this, I'm kind of looking forward to that interaction and dynamic with Daredevil, because I've been enjoying her in these episodes. Which brings me to my overall review. Long story short, I thought this episode was just like, it's okay again. That's kind of what I put at the end of my first episode review. That isn't for like any super bad critical reason. It's just so-so. Like, it's not exceptionally amazing. I'm not like, oh my god, this is the best Marvel Cinematic Universe experience ever. Nor did I expect it to be. But it does still continue to pleasantly surprise me. Even though this episode was super short, it was still mainly charming because of their lead, Tatiana Maslany. I know I keep saying it, I sound like a freaking simp, but really, I'm enjoying the series, the humor. I'm enjoying. The biggest thing that makes me happy is just that it has pleasantly surprised me. Again, I don't think it's punching through the roof or anything, but it's by no means awful, bad, or anything like that. It's just not great and exceptional. It's like somewhere around here for me, but with like an added kind of gold trimming on it because of that of, you know, Tatiana Maslany. Again, I said it again, but I really do mean that. And the fact that she can, you know, pull this show together, she's kind of carrying it on her back, I feel. It makes everything, you know, that she touches and everything surrounding her just as good as the quality that she brings to the show, I feel. But at the same time, I'm also not taking this show mega seriously. But that's because it doesn't take itself so seriously at the same time. So I feel like I can sit back a little bit more of this one. Even though I do look to be critical of it, I still view it for what it is. And that is something that is, you know, it's like, it's okay, you know, the first couple of episodes, but also enjoyable. So with that being said, guys, what did you think of this 22-minute, 50-second, I believe it was around, episode of She-Hulk, episode 2? Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know any theories you have, just everything. I love reading every one of your comments. I try and heart as many as I can and reply to some. I would really appreciate a like if you got this far. Do subscribe for more weekly reviews, news updates on all kinds of things in pop culture. I would really appreciate that. And of course, you can follow me on the links in the description down below. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. And I'll see you people of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the next video. Goodbye.